Hey guys, it's everseen here. So with Titan being fully released from GGG, I kind of want to go over in a video here, like doing like an overview of the class, going over kind of some skill gems as well, but just going over like the overall game plan for me playing Titan on League Start. I'm 100% going Titan, especially because we've got this number 5 passive unlocked here from GGG, which says 50% increased effect of small passive skills. This is so strong that I actually think that some people will play Titan just to abuse this and not even use melee at all or slams at all. Like a bow character could really like even use this type of tech. So 50% increased effect is crazy because it'll turn some of these small nodes effectively into large passives. Like I've got a couple examples I can talk about, I guess. Like one is just like obviously the start. We've got 10%, 8% increased melee damage. You know, this one would turn into 15. This one would turn into 12. This is 16%, this large passive. If you're taking 15% here, you're basically turning almost like, not almost, but like a lot of your small passives are going to turn into large passives, which makes this extremely strong. In some cases too, where you have like, say, a rage cluster, there's one somewhere here, right here. You know, you can take, there's another cluster that gives you rage on hit. You're effectively doubling the rage on hit you get, and then maybe you don't have to take another rage cluster because of it. So you're really like going to be able to min-max a build by using this 50% increased effect of small passive skills. The only thing that sucks is that we do have to take the one before, which is carry a chest, which adds 20 inventory slots. But to be honest, this alone is worth the 4 ascendancy points. Like, this is so strong, and I feel like that's exactly the reason why they did this. What it's probably going to look like for me is I'm going to be going into number 6, number 7, and then going into number 4 and then number 5. I don't know though. I may switch up that order. I may do 6, 4, 5, then 7. And that's just because I think the 5 is actually going to give us more overall damage than the number 7. So yeah, basically doing number 6, we're getting crushing blows, which is a lot of stun buildup. We're wanting to play stun on the Titan because we're going to abuse the number 7, which is surprising strength, which is 40% more damage against heavily stunned enemies. Now, bosses are going to have a stun meter, which when it fills, you're going to be able to make the boss vulnerable to a lot of damage. Like, aka it's a stun, but really it's just like they get staggered. And so you're going to get a lot of extra damage from that. And then we're going to take a lot of stun stuff on the tree and use a lot of skill gems to really get that stun build up a lot so that like we can pretty much just stun bosses very frequently. So yeah, it's either going to be number 6 into 7 and then number 4 and 5, or it's going to be like 4 and 5, a 6, and then maybe 8, like the 15% more maximum life. Like, a lot of these are really good, so it's hard to pinpoint exactly what you want to do, but you almost have to give up 4 passives for Titan. Like, I really feel like this 50% increased effect of small passive skills is going to be like really, really good. You know, like ancestral empowerment here, it gives you every second slam skill is ancestrally boosted, which basically means you're using Fist of War. So it's pretty much like the Chieftain Ascendancy, where you're just getting the free Fist of War. So that's also strong. And number 1 for 50% more armor is sort of like the Juggernaut Ascendancy notable Unbreakable, which gave you like double the body armor value. So like, you know, they pretty much mashed all of the good Marauder Ascendancies into Titan. So it's really versatile though. Like, you can pick whatever you want. But I think that number 5 here is going to be probably the craziest thing. Now, to get into some skills, so I was kind of thinking, you know, I need stun buildup, so how am I going to do it? And Leap Slam seems to be the best way to get, like, stun buildup, because it has 25% more stun buildup already, which is a multiplier, which will multiply with all of your notables on the passive tree that have stun buildup. And then it has 500% more stun buildup against enemies with fully broken armor. So we can use something like Armor Breaker to actually like break the armor of, say, a boss or just a tough enemy, and then leap slam it, and then we're able to do kind of the wombo combo. We're going to be using Sunder because, you know, having 100% crit, basically, what it says is consumes fully broken armor on enemies to guarantee a critical hit. So getting a free critical hit is going to be massive, especially for melee. We're going to get so much damage multiplier off of this. But yeah, I think what I'm going to do, since the thing in PoE 2 is that support gems are going to be linked to a skill gem, but you cannot take that support gem and put it on another skill. So it's going to be like a way you've got to kind of wager what's worth it and what's not. Like, I'm also looking because, you know, Sunder has 237% attack damage, but if you look at something like Hammer of the Gods, like, this has 1307% attack damage, which is like a ridiculous amount of damage, right? So this, I think, is going to be on a cooldown, if I'm not mistaken, and we'll be able to use this as more of like a bossing skill. So I may actually end up putting something like Fist of War on that and give it up on Sunder, because I think it's actually way more valuable on Hammer of the Gods, because the thing about Fist of War is that you can't use it. It says no more than once every 6 seconds. So every 6 seconds is when you can do an empowered slam. So I feel like, you know, using it on Sunder is not going to be worth it because we're attacking way more than like every 6 seconds. So Hammer of the Gods is definitely a big candidate for Fist of War, giving it even more damage percentage multiplier. It says it right here too, 24-second cooldown. So this is going to be like your biggest hitting thing for on bosses. Once you've done your stun buildup, once you've made the boss vulnerable, you're going to do something like Fist of War with it, with another support gem probably, and then yeah, you're just going to do big damage. So another thing too, if you don't know what Fist of War actually does, it basically makes your guy empowered, and the next slam that you deal in, this is showing in PoE 1, that it does 70 to 98% more damage with hits and ailments. So the nice thing about this is if you're doing a bleed build, it actually gives you all the damage multiplier for that bleed ailment. So it's very, very strong. And keep in mind too, in PoE 1 as well as PoE 2, any increased damage that you have is additive. Any percentage more damage that you have is multiplicative. So the way that's going to work is like, see all these nodes that have increased melee damage and stuff, they're all additive. So like, say we, you know, travel all the way to down here, and in total we get 60% increased melee damage. Cool, that's additive. It stacks, it's just 60% increased. So then what happens after that is that this gets multiplied with that 60% increased damage to give you a ton of damage. So any source of more damage in the game that you can get is really good. You should definitely get it. But yeah, another thing too is I'm going to be probably using Seismic Cry. Infernal Cry, you could, to get like squeeze out a little bit more DPS, it gives like some fire damage, but Seismic Cry is going to be like the holy grail for making a slam build really good. So you know, we're probably going to try and get endurance charges so that we can exert multiple attacks. But yeah, Seismic Cry hits ignore monster physical damage reduction. This is very, very huge. This is what we just got in the last patch for PoE 1, where we had 100% physical damage overwhelm, which is, they just switched the wording around, so now it says it ignores enemy monster physical damage reduction. This is big. You need this. It's basically the equivalent is like if you're using a elemental sorceress or something, and the mod says that your enemy or your hits ignore enemy monster elemental resistances. So it's very, very strong for melee, and we kind of need to use this. So in my eyes, it's going to be, you need to use this. So it means if I want more attacks that do more damage, I need to have endurance charges. So I don't know if it says it consumes endurance charges, so I think if you just have them, you'll definitely get more exerts every single time you use this. So cooldown time, 8 seconds. I'm assuming that we'll be able to reduce the cooldown to make it a lot more common to use this. In combination with Sunder, this is going to be really big. And it also has 400% more stun buildup and 200% increased knockback distance. I think basically the way it's going to work is it's just going to knock back the enemy a little bit, but have that 400% more stun buildup. So you've got a lot of utility for being able to stun enemies as well as bosses. I think bosses are going to be very fun to fight on Titan because you're going to be able to do very hard hits. Now, with all that being said, I still just don't really know what to expect. We basically just need to play the game. So that's about it for me about the rambling. I'm really just going to try and keep all of this to a minimum. We just don't really know how this is going to go. The 50% increased effect of small passive skills seems really crazy. You know, we're getting more damage nodes on the tree. We're not getting life nodes, which kind of sucks. It's just going to be whether or not I can, like, survive, really, if it's going to be a good build. Like, this is 15% more maximum life on the Ascendancy. Like, this is going to be hard to pass up, honestly. Like, as a person who loves to play tanky builds and builds with lots of life and stuff, this is a hard one to pass up. So I don't know how it's gonna play out, but number 5 seems to be the way to go, so I'm gonna go with that. But I'll leave it here, guys, and stop rambling. And yeah, I mean, release is tomorrow, so we're gonna go all in on Titan, and we're just gonna try and make a really cool Slammin' build. But anyways, see you guys then. Peace.